Yes. My notes would help me to do this. Good evening, everybody. As always, it's a pleasure to be in the Lord's house, and an honor to. It's always an honor to be on this side of the pulpit, to be chosen to bring the word. The name of this message tonight is Sanctified Socialization. Not speculation, but socialization. The main scripture is going to be Mark 14. We'll be getting to there as we have time to turn. We all know that Christ's love is unsearchable. In John 15:13, Jesus says, "Greater love hath no man than this, than a man to lay down his life for his friends." So we all know that he came to die for all of us, sacrificing himself for all of us. So therefore, he considers all of us to be his friends. But looking at his ministry, he had what I call sanctified socialization. And if you're wondering about this, I break this up into 3 sections with 5 different levels. And pardon my poor artwork, but
I think the piece.
yeah, that's okay. So I've been given a gift of words, not of writing, penmanship. So pardon that. But there's 3 sections and 5 layers within Jesus' social circle or circles. The first section is level 5 and 4 is the outer circle. That's whoever will come to him. This includes the multitudes of people and the broader group of all the disciples. Like the 120 were in the upper room, the 500 witnesses that saw him after his resurrection. And he ministered to them, he healed them, he fed the multitudes. But we see in Matthew 5, verse 1 and 2, it says, "And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him." So we see there where he was with the multitudes, but then he separated himself from them, and separated the multitudes from his disciples. So he showed love to everyone, but he spent more time with his disciples and with his brethren. So our level 5 would be random people in the world, people that we see in the stores or wherever we, at our job or wherever we happen to come in contact with them. And our level 4 would be our friends, family, people in the church that we see every Sunday. That's about all the contact we have with them, because everybody has their own lives going on. But then we have section 2, which is the inner circle, level 3 and 2. This is the people that are carefully chosen. That, as we see in Luke 6:13, it says about Jesus, "And when it was day, he called unto him his disciples, and of them he chose 12, whom he named his apostles." So we see that this 12 was chosen amongst all the people that came to him. They were very carefully chosen. So for us, for Jesus, his level 3 was the 12. For us, this is our trusted friends, our advisors, our mentors, people that are very carefully chosen to be in our inner circle. And Jesus' level 2 circle would be the 3, Peter, James, and John. And for us, this would be our closest friends, our best friends, the people that we share the most intimate things with and the most private details of our lives. And he taught in parables, but he shared more with the 12 and with the 3. In Matthew 13:11, Jesus said, "He answered and said unto them, Because it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but unto them it is not given." So we see that Jesus spent gave more to the 12 than he did to the rest of the disciples and the people that were following him. Right? But sometimes he took only the 3. In Mark 9, verse 2, it says, "After 6 days Jesus taketh with him Peter, James, and John, and leadeth them up into a high mountain apart by themselves, and he was transfigured before them." So while he shared the mysteries of the kingdom with the 12, he only took a very small group of people, those 3 people, and was transfigured before them. Only those 3 people got to see Moses and Elijah. So he only shared that with even with his level 2, which is much smaller. So sanctified socialization, almost slipped there, is deciding who to have in which circle around you, how close to let them, how much you want to share with them. So, why sanctified socialization? Well, how I got the title was that I was sharing something with someone that is in my level 3, right? Somebody that has been one of my 12, and as I was sharing, they had given me a word of advice that I had already put into practice, but I felt that other people definitely needed to hear this. So I was sharing with them how in the end of 2017, the Lord had given me a prophetic word in 2 parts. The first part came right as in the time scale that it was said to happen, but the second part seemed like it was never coming and it was delaying. I'm like, what's going on here? So obviously, trusting in the Lord that He will fulfill His word, I was frustrated and praying about it, and it wasn't coming about. And then the Lord shared with me a verse that put everything into proper perspective. And then I understood what He was actually doing, because I didn't understand it. I was leaning into my own understanding. And not only did He put it into perspective, but through the scripture He gave me an instruction, and it was one I did not expect and certainly did not want to hear. Nevertheless, that's the Lord's will. So after sharing the verse with them, I was asking them to keep me in prayer for strength to be obedient to the Lord's word and His new instruction that He's given me. And here's the advice that I wanted to share with you that they gave me. Be careful, they said, be careful who I share personal things with. Some things that God gives us are not to be shared with everyone, and some things are not to be shared with anyone. Right, so although I shared what I just shared here, I shared publicly on Facebook, and I did not share the verse on Facebook that I was given. However, I only shared that verse with a select few. And even though I shared that verse with this person, I didn't give them any of the details of the actual situation, who, what, where, when, and all these things. Showing that it was good advice because I was already doing it, so that we touched an agreement on this. However, that was when I was in prayer one day thinking about what to speak on, that's what came to my mind. So let's look at sanctified socialization in action through the scriptures. Right, here's Mark 14. It's the text of the Last Supper. So Mark 14, starting in verse 16 through 20. And his disciples went forth and came into the city, and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. In the evening he cometh with the 12. And as they sat, Jesus said, Verily I say unto you, one of you which eateth with me shall betray me. And they began to be sorrowful, and to say unto him one by one, Is it I? And another said, Is it I? And he answered and said unto them, It is one of the 12 that dippeth with me in the dish. So he ate with all his disciples, with the brethren, with the whole church, with his friends, his family. Yet it was one of the 12 that betrayed him. Again, showing to who to carefully choose who you led into what circle. So then fast forward to verse 32. It says, "And they came to a place which was named Gethsemane, and he saith unto his disciples, Sit ye here while I pray. And he taketh with him Peter, James, and John, and began to be sore amazed, and to be very heavy. And he said unto them, My soul is exceedingly sorrowful unto the death. Tarry here and wait, and watch." Tarry here and watch. And he went forward a little, and fell on the ground, and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what thou wilt. And he cometh and findeth them sleeping, and saith unto Peter, Simon, sleepest thou? Couldest not thou watch 1 hour? So in 32 and 33, Jesus was heavy-hearted, and he left the 12, and he took his very best friends to go with him in prayer to be comforted. But then in 34 to 36, we see that he left the 3 to be in the most intimate level of sanctified socialization, which is level 1, which our level 1, everyone's level 1, is our relationship with the Father. Because Jesus separated himself from everyone, including his best friend, for a one-on-one with Abba Father. Why? Because sometimes things are just too personal to share with anyone except God. And then 37 to 40, we see how even our best friends, the 3, with the best intentions, will fail us eventually, because we're all human at the end of the day. So seeing that Jesus used sanctified socialization to separate who he trusted, how much, and with what, we should do the same thing. But Jesus knew the most intimate and important relationship must be with the only one who will never leave us nor forsake us, and who cannot fail. So, as always, I like to close with a little poem. Say, let us be careful with who we share personal communication. Let us put our trust in only who is good in his sight. Let us use wisdom by exercising sanctified socialization. Let us share our hearts with Abba Father tonight. Thank you.
Praise God. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Notice the bullseye